is Devin, and welcome to my Family Secrets. If you are fortunate enough to have some information as you start your DNA journey, most of us will still need to do an awful lot of research on our own. So I'm documenting my search here and hope that it will be of help. Maybe we can start out with, you can just tell me a little bit about your background and whatever, because I kind of just found you on that website. I don't know anything.
I was adopted as kind of the fourth and final kiddo in 1971. They had planned on adopting a second Black child after me so that I wouldn't be the only Black person in my family. But in 1972, the National Association of Black Social Workers put out a position statement against transracial adoption, and for a few years pretty much blocked transracial adoptions. And so when my parents went back to try to get another Black child, they were denied. I think they went back in 1973 to try to get another Black child, so I wouldn't be the only one, and they were denied. So I grew up the only Black kid in my family, very isolated, very just went to my mom taught at private schools, and so I attended all of the schools where she went, where she worked. Excuse me, I lose my voice. I don't know why. And so I grew up very isolated, but around middle school, just kind of had identity experience that really kind of launched me into just exploring my Black identity. And so from high school on, I really immersed myself in Black culture and just kind of found my identity. So I also am a birth mom, had a child when I was 17, got pregnant at 16, had a child at 17, and relinquished him for adoption right after my junior year in high school. And now looking back, I'm also recognizing that I was a victim of adoption coercion. And so all the practices that you hear that people do and say, now I'm looking back, I'm like, oh, wow, they did that to me. And that was said to me and all of these things. And had I known what I know now, I never would have relinquished him. And so a lot of my kind of work too is on just understanding and dismantling the adoption narrative of saving babies, because I think that that's the narrative I know that that's the narrative that's out there. So all that to say, I went through life. I became an educator, teacher, principal, founded a school, did lots of things. And when I stopped doing that, I started really getting into more of kind of just connecting with the adoptee community. And I found so many adoptees, and specifically Black female adoptees and transracial adoptees, who did not know their identity or didn't feel comfortable around other people of color, just lots of issues that they were having. And so I started kind of coaching a couple of Black female adoptees and realized really quickly that they needed actual therapy, and that coaching wasn't enough. We couldn't go from where you are and look forward the way you do in coaching. We really needed to go back and work through traumas and other things. And I wasn't equipped to do that. So I went back to school and became a therapist. And primarily I work with adoptees now. Some transracial, some same race, some even intercountry. I have a couple intercountry who were adopted from other countries to the US. And so that's part of my work now is doing a lot of therapy with adoptees and also doing a lot of advocacy about adoption and changing the narrative.
I was thinking about this the other day, and I was like, what is the definition? I was thinking to myself, what's the definition of adoptee? Because I never really thought of myself as an adoptee, but I really was. And it's really funny, up until lately, I never really thought of it. I found adoption papers that Maurice had adopted me. So that's why I say, I guess I'm an adoptee, sort of.
Yep.
And as time, it was always something was weird to me because something was missing.
So I want to give you some words just to kind of define, because I think that one of the things that helps when you go through these events is knowing that it is normal enough to have a label. So I'm going to give you some words. So the first one, I wrote down some things as you were talking. There is a phenomenon called a non-parental event, and that's when you learn things about your parents that make them not your parents, or kind of take you away from your reality. Right. And that's when you were 6 and your mom stepped in. That was definitely a huge non-parental event for you. And so that is a thing that actually unfortunately happens way too many times in families with family secrets. And so there are actually groups out there who work with people who are not necessarily like traditional adoptees, but who suffered from these non-parental events. What I wanted to talk to you about is there's a book called The Primal Wound that talks about the trauma that happens pre-verbally when you are with your mother and are born from your mother, and then you are separated from her for whatever reason. And in your case, it's her dropping you off to family members. In my case, it was adoption. And that separation and loss that you have through this nonverbal kind of thing does have some serious like repercussions and things that change the way that you grow up, the way that your brain interacts, the way that you connect or disconnect from people. And so I would really suggest that you get that book, The Primal Wounds, because I think it may help with some of your healing as you go through and you say, yes, like these things that I'm feeling, this thing where I felt like I wasn't connected. No, this isn't my father. Something's not right. All of those things, a lot of those things will be addressed in that book to kind of normalize your experience. Again, when you read The Primal Wounds, you'll see we know, and there's something that's been missing. And there is when you're in your mother's stomach, you hear her voice, you feel her, you know her. And when she's gone, there is a wound that happens. It is a thing. Like we lose something. And if you think about the fact that you lost that from your mom when she dropped you off, and then you lost it from your aunt at 6, like there are wounds that are there. That's trauma. That is like a definite kind of trauma of like, who am I and how is this place safe?